This video is meant to provide an overview of the structure of the Oklahoma Academic Standards for Science. We'll take a look at a standards document page pulled from the Oklahoma Academic Standards for Science. Each standard has its own document page, so you will see, again, only one standard on each of the pages. The rest of the material provided on this page is intended for support for the educator around that standard. As we take a look at the structure of a standard document, you will notice that at the top, it's identified by the grade level. First grade is the one that we're looking at. You will also notice that there are tabs on the side of the document that indicate the grade span that that standard comes from. So here the grade span highlighted is K through 2, since we're looking at the first grade standard. The naming of the standard can be found right below the grade level in the gray row. This standard comes from first grade, indicated by the 1 at the front of the naming system. Then we see ESS, which represents the discipline in science that this standard focuses on. There are 3 disciplines in science found in the standards document: physical science, life science, and this particular discipline, earth and space science. The second number we see in the naming system, 1, represents the topic in earth and space science that this standard comes from. The first topic in earth and space science is Earth's place in the universe. The second number indicates the actual standard number. The standard itself can be found under performance expectation. The performance expectation is the standard. You'll see the same naming system as you find in the gray row up top. Below the naming system, you'll see the actual standard or performance expectation. This one, use observations of the sun, moon, and stars to describe patterns that can be predicted, is identified with a coloring system. The coloring system is to better support teachers in navigating this document. You'll notice that use observations is in blue. Use observations indicates the practice, the scientific practice that this standard or performance expectation encompasses. The reason it is blue is because it serves as a connection to the blue column that we see on the far left, the science and engineering practices. The rest of the performance expectation is in green. The green area represents the content of science associated with that performance expectation. The green coloring provides a connection to the middle column, which is also in green, which represents a better explanation of the content that is provided in this performance expectation. In addition to the performance expectation, which represents what students should know, understand, and be able to do to be proficient in science, we see a clarification statement. Where needed, a clarification statement is provided. The aim of the clarification statement is to provide further explanation or examples to better support educators in understanding the aim of the performance expectation. Below the clarification statement, you'll see the assessment boundary. Again, where applicable, an assessment boundary is provided. While all teachers can utilize the assessment boundary as a tool for developing curriculum and local assessments, the assessment boundaries for 5th grade, 8th grade, and biology will be utilized as a guide in the development of the Oklahoma Core Curriculum tests. We'll move back over to the blue column on the far left, the science and engineering practices. These are the 8 practices that are found in the K-12 science standards. We notice that the 4th practice, analyzing and interpreting data, in this particular document, has a little more information than all the other 8 practices. The reason for this is to provide further explanation for this particular performance expectation. Students are asked to use observations in the performance expectation, so you'll see there's more information about what use observations really means at first grade, provided here. The other 7 practices are listed to remind teachers that even if students are focusing on one particular practice in a performance expectation, they might use some of the other practices in their investigations. The middle column, again, represents the disciplinary core ideas associated with the performance expectation and provides further explanation of the content associated with the standard. The reason we see the performance expectation on the far right of the document is to provide a reminder to teachers that the performance expectation or standard is the end goal. This is what students should be able to do. To get students to this end goal, we would want to start with what students should be doing in science, represented in the blue column, connected to the content of science in the green column, to get to the end goal of the performance expectation. Additional components of the standards document that you will see include a cross-cutting concept. Now, the cross-cutting concept represents common threads or themes that span across science disciplines. And they have value to both scientists and engineers because they identify universal properties and processes found in all disciplines. We'll move back up to the performance expectation to see that students are expected to describe patterns associated with the sun, moon, and stars. So the cross-cutting concept that is connected to this performance expectation is patterns. Below the cross-cutting concepts, you will see the Oklahoma Academic Standards connections. Where applicable, connections to the English language arts and mathematics standards are provided to better support teachers. As we take a look at another standard document, this one comes from 7th grade, we will notice that the same support systems are provided. What is a little different with the 7th grade standard, and essentially the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade standards, is the naming doesn't start with the grade level. It starts with MS, representing middle school. We'll talk a little bit more later in the video about why the naming was changed here. You will also see at high school the standards are named with HS rather than a particular subject area. To better understand the structure, layout, and in particular the naming of the Oklahoma Academic Standards, we're going to take a closer look at the domains and topics that can be found throughout the K-12 standards. There are 3 domains that you will see: physical science, life science, and earth and space science. There are also topics found under each domain. For physical science, we see 4 topics. For life science, we see 4. And for earth and space science, we see 3. The goal is to provide students with experiences in each of these topics as they progress through their learning in K-12. However, you won't see every topic show up in every grade level. In particular, we're going to take a look at a sample of an elementary progression for grade 3 through 5. I hope this provides a comprehensive overview of the structure and layout of the Oklahoma Academic Standards for Science. If you have additional questions, please visit the Oklahoma State Department of Education website. Thank you.